Hey y'all, it is Dizzy81 and I'm doing something a little bit different today, and I'm actually thinking about making a series this way. It's more of I don't know, maybe a bitching moment with Dizzy. And by the way, if you're a child, I'd probably recommend to go ahead and turn off from the channel right now because there's going to be some language here. Not so much bitching or complaining. It's just more or less talking about how things are going as far as the gaming sphere is, and maybe a couple of little alcoholic beverages here and there. I'll probably do something such as I'm going to review a beer each one of these that I do. Let's go for that. Actually, I had one yesterday that I really meant to do a review on. It's called Aloha Traveler Pineapple Shandy, and I think that this week I'm going to do pretty much all shandies, or for the maybe not this week, but the next few episodes I'll do all shandies. Yesterday I did one. It was a pineapple shandy, which is essentially it's a fruit mixed beer. If you didn't know, fruit ferments, makes alcohol. If you didn't know, now you know. A lot of people, they're like, oh, well, why would you ruin a beer by putting fruit in it? It's like, well, if you're drinking the same nasty shit like Bud Light, Budweiser, Coors Light, of course, it tastes like shit. Especially if you put strawberries in that. Can you imagine? But there's a reason why people put limes in some of their Bud Lights and Millers and Coronas, the typical. But yeah, I did one yesterday. It's called Aloha Traveler Pineapple Shandy. I can't even speak. I've already been drinking. It's a limited release. This was it was a pretty nice one. In the description of it, it says wheat ale with a lemon peel with natural flavors and pineapple juice added. So going into it, I kind of wrote down what I thought it would taste like. I said it would taste like an alcoholic pineapple juice with a hint of lemon and Hefeweizen zing. Now, if you don't know what Hefeweizen is essentially a German word for having a wheat beer. They use wheat instead of the hops. Another word for wheat is Weiss. So it's my personal take. It's a little bit more filling than if you had like a light American lager. It allows you, like if you have a Bud Light or a Budweiser, you're probably going to have several of them before you start filling a zing. You can have a Hefeweizen or some of these heavier beers and have one or two and be just as content as somebody who slams down a 6-pack or a 12-pack. You have to have that 6-pack or 12-pack because they're lighter beers. It takes more to fill you up in there, and in doing so, puts more alcohol in your body and your system and everything, and you just need to have more. Like Coors is the only one I could ever get drunk off of. I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. It's because it's that light. It's pretty much water. It's gross. Okay, so, I anticipated it to be an alcoholic pineapple juice with a hint of lemon and a Hefeweizen zing. Typically, your Hefeweizens are going to have a little bit of a spice with it, so that's what I was anticipating. This is a little bit more like, after I tasted it, it was lemon with a Hefeweizen. And it's a lemon Hefeweizen, I should say, rather than lemon with a Hefeweizen. So lemon Hefeweizen with a hint of pineapple. It has a stronger taste of a sweet pineapple at the end. It's not as acidic as I thought it would be. Like as if you were drinking a pineapple juice, you kind of have like that acidity to it. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. Okay, so moving on from my first review. Actually, I have another one of these that I'm going to be doing here in a bit. Actually, I'm drinking it right now. I'll tell you what it is here in a bit. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about. Destiny 2. This week, they kind of leaked a few things about Destiny 2, and then Bungie, or actually over the last couple of weeks, things have been leaking about Destiny 2, for better or worse. Probably the most on-point thing that has released thus far has been Mega Bloks, and we'll get to that here in a bit. But then, Bungie this week, they finally decided to go ahead and open up the floodgates. If you haven't been following us here on Playback Gaming, or you have been living under a rock and haven't been on any kind of social medias, Destiny 2 was officially acknowledged by Bungie as being in the works and coming out. we're probably going to know a little bit more later. But yeah, Destiny 2. The first one, whenever it released, here's what I'll say, the good thing versus the bad thing. Okay, so the good thing to know this time around is last time we heard about everybody getting tossed out of Bungie Studios. People who had been working on the game, they had been working on the story, they had been working on the music, they're getting tossed out left and right, left and right. And sorry, I'm not going to be dropping any of the names of these people. You could go look it up on Google or wherever you want to. But, just as a rough summary. So all these people, they're getting tossed out by Bungie, for whatever reason. And the game releases, and in its vanilla state, oh my lord, it sucked. It sucked. It sucked. They did a pretty decent recovery as soon as the DLC started coming out, which it's really terrible whenever you have to rely on your DLCs to put your game back together and to try to get it to that point. But Destiny overall, it had a really strong fan base. And I mean, even to this day, it's still one of the most played games on the consoles. It's not on PC. So on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and early on with the 360 and the PS3, it had a really good base. People really enjoyed it. Really good PvP system. And mechanically, I mean, it's one of the most solid shooters on the market. Probably, if not the most solid shooter on the market. I would go as enough to say that it could be in contention for being the epitome shooter as far as mechanics go. Story-wise, obviously, null and void. It was not there. They had to take some DLCs and mix in stories with the DLCs, which even after those were put back in, you kind of knew what was going on, but it was still very confusing. Even at this point, it's just kind of like a little bit of a splash here and there, and they're all over the place as far as the story goes. Destiny 2, obviously, we expect more. The good thing is you don't hear about people getting tossed out of Bungie Studios this time around. That's the good thing, first and foremost. The second thing that I find really cool, probably my favorite thing, is I am glad to hear that the Cabal are finally going to get their due. I mean, let's look at it. The first raid and the vanilla story was really more about the Vex. So we do the Vex and everything, and people were like, cool, yeah, that's cool. And it was. Nothing against the Vex. I wouldn't mind revisiting the Vex in the future. Then right after that, you had the Dark Below. Of course, you had the Hive, and you had to deal with Crota and all of his goons and everything. It was cool. The next one was the Fallen, and you had to deal with, I can't remember their names, but you had to deal with the Fallen, and you had the Prison of Elders and all that good stuff. Introduced a lot of new things. So naturally, everybody expected right after that, okay, so Cabal should be next, because they're the fourth, I should say, of the enemy types. And it went right back to the Hive. So it was kind of confusing why the Cabal were kind of like kicked to the side. And if you read into the Grimoire, what's pretty cool about the Cabal is they're a lot more powerful than they're given credit for. I mean, within the credit itself, if you're out there and you're fighting the Cabal, they're pretty fucking powerful. They really are. There's nothing really unique that they do themselves. They're just heavy hitters. You go try to fist fight one, you're probably going to lose. Obviously that's not the case, but in theory, through the Grimoire, they're talking about weapons that the Cabal have that could completely decimate whole solar systems. So here the Cabal are. They do have a little bit of a part in the Taken King whenever they reintroduce the Hive again, for the second time with this. Actually, I guess this would be third because they were introduced in the vanilla. Yeah, whatever. So they crash a ship into the Hive ship with the intentions of taking on the Hive. And here come the humans. Not only do we just kick their ass all over Mars and pretty much, excommunicate them from there, we go, while they're fighting the Hive, we decide to go blow their ship up. I'd be pretty pissed. If I was the Cabal, I'd be pretty pissed about that. So, one of my big things was I would like to see the Cabal, and I said this to a lot of friends, Cognito, Lord Sleet, Lord Attic, a couple of, other friends and everything through various parties that we've had conversation about what we want to see out of Destiny 2. My thing was, I would love to see if in the beginning of Destiny 2, and this is before they showed the reveal. In the beginning of Destiny 2, we start off by getting our asses kicked on Earth. Cabal come in, we just destroyed their ship. They're a little pissed off. They're like, you know what? Fuck you guys. We were helping out. You blew our ship up. Now you're going to pay the price. It'd be not like, I wasn't even opposed if they said, you know what, let's blow Earth up. Of course, that shouldn't happen, but I'm just stretching it with that one. So whenever I saw the city was on fire with the first reveal of it, this was like what on the, they did this the 20th, today's the 29th. They did the first announcement on the 27th through Twitter and Facebook whenever they showed off Destiny 2 as far as a picture. And then you also had a panorama. There was a little bit of a look through where people were saying, hey, there's a shadow behind the Traveler, or maybe it's two Travelers. Deej, he went ahead and took to Twitter to kind of clarify that, no, that was just a fuck up on our part. And they uploaded the right one. Whatever. So you can see the city's on fire. And I was like, hey, nice. One of my anticipations and hopes was, for obviously right out the gate, we're getting our asses kicked. And so to be able to see something like that's pretty fucking awesome. And then yesterday, whenever they showed the teaser trailer, to see all of the Cabal were the ones that were causing all of this mayhem. Oh my lord, I was fangirling it up. I was totally fangirling up. I was so stoked. Finally, the Cabal get their due. About time. And you had Cade, who is over there being, his typical smart self, or smart ass, I should say. It's good to see that they're using it with a little bit of humor to do this announcement and everything. And of course, if you're catching in tomorrow, hopefully this is uploaded today on the 29th. If not, hopefully same day of this reveal with the worldwide trailer supposed to be out on March 30th to talk more about that. Okay, so that's a lot of the good stuff. A lot of high expectations out of this one. They're not firing people. I get the Cabal coming through. They've had a whole pretty much generation to go through with working with what works with Destiny and what they can do to improve it. Hopefully we get to see a lot of the things that we hope for come in the next one. Maybe a little bit more with the factions, a little bit more open space. I would be totally fine if this was a 100% social thing where you walk from one place to another, or even if you have to instance fly from one location to another, but they need to open up the maps a little bit more, and your city should be involved in the maps. I like what they did with Wrath of the Machine. I haven't played the raid yet. Eventually I'll get to it. But I do know that you go into the patrol or whatever it may be, and you walk up to it. They should do that with the cities. I think that'd be completely badass. But let's go ahead and we'll get to the bad. It sucks, guys. It really does suck. Now, this is actually going to be part of what I'm going to talk on a little bit later, as far as Microsoft is concerned. But yes, PlayStation, we all knew it was going to happen, that they would have the deal. There was a little bit of anticipation from some that, maybe that they don't have the deal. Maybe Microsoft gets it this time around. Because if you look at the CEOs and the bigwigs over Microsoft, they love Destiny. They're always playing it. I don't know the last time I haven't turned it on and not see Mike or Phil actually playing Destiny. Actually, Phil maybe a little bit less, but nonetheless, he's been on it. He's a fan of the game. You would have thought that a little bit more things would be happening to maybe go Xbox's way this time around, but too much anticipation. It is going back to Sony, and once again, it's a whole year long. It sucks, guys. I played on Xbox. I just prefer the platform and the UI more than I do with the PlayStation. Of course, the last time I had any anything to do with the PlayStation UI was hell. It had to have been the PS3. I really haven't played around too much with the PS4 because I know at the launch it was very identical, if not the same, and they really haven't frayed, from my knowledge, too much from that. Which for people who like that, cool. It's just not my preference. I prefer the way that Xbox is set up in their UI. Plus, I have the majority of my friends are all on Xbox. And if they're not on Xbox, most of them are going to be on the PC. So I don't have a lot of a reason to, me myself personally, I don't have a big reason to go get a PlayStation. Even though there's games on there that I think look pretty fucking awesome. This is not going to be any kind of knock towards PlayStation. But it does suck. A whole year long that Xbox, Guardians, and potentially maybe even PC, because as far as we know right now, or as far as we assume right now, this is coming to PC as well. Will this affect PC? I don't know. I would assume it would, just because this is going to be one of the few times that Bungie goes on to PC. Yes, I know they've been on PC before, but it's been a while. It sucks. It just does. These kind of deals, they're going to happen. The developers, the publishers, they need to make their money. They want to make their money. And they're going to make some sort of deal, with the platform brands, be it PlayStation, Nintendo, or Microsoft. They're going to happen. Normally, if they're, it's hard to, accuse one of being the culprit when ultimately this is going to be Activision's issue. It's what they chose to do. It's the brand that they chose to go with. Yes, Bungie probably knew what was going to happen, but they signed the contract. They don't really have much that they can do as far as that goes. And as far as Microsoft goes, it's not much that they can do, to try to prevent it. It is what it is. Same token, was it last year, the year before, with Rise of the Tomb Raider? Of course, Xbox had it for the whole year. You look at Street Fighter, Capcom's pretty terrible as far as this goes as well. PlayStation paid quite a bit of money to get Street Fighter 5, and I see that being tossed around quite a bit, but let's not forget that the last two Dead Risings, they're on Xbox, they're not on PlayStation. Yes, I get that Microsoft had something quote unquote to do with the publishing. Let's be honest, they didn't have anything to do more than advertising and marketing it out and putting, Microsoft's branding on there. If they ever come to PlayStation, who knows? As of right now, both of those IPs are on each platform, so it is what it is. It sucks. I'm not for a lot of these things. A month to me is even stretching it. If this would have been like if you pre-order on PlayStation, or if you're going to play on PlayStation, maybe PlayStation gets the beta first. I believe The Division was like that for Xbox. You didn't play it first, but you got to play the beta first, or the alpha, whatever it was. And several other games. It just sucks. I've determined that I will be purchasing the game, but because I don't like these kind of deals, I believe that I am going to be boycotting pre-order. I'm not big on pre-ordering as it is anyways, and typically if I do, it's literally within days of the game releasing. I'm probably going to wait till the day of, maybe the night of, to purchase the game, because it's the most that I can do as a consumer to say, hey, I don't appreciate this. I think that this is bad practices. I don't also want to be a hypocrite and say that, oh, well, don't buy the game, because these are one of those titles that people want to play. And I don't want you to have to forego something that you do want to play just because a bad deal happens. It's almost one of those cases where we have to say, suck it up, Buttercup, and truck along. It sucks. It is what it is. My Twitter personally hasn't been as vicious as what I've seen a lot of individuals posting about, saying that they've seen. But I know that it's out there. I did look at the Destiny Twitter search part of Twitter, I guess you would say, just to see what people were saying. It actually seemed more of, even on some PlayStation individuals, it wasn't more of a cheering and jeering at Xbox, as it was about, they were excited to be able to play Destiny 2. They're excited to know more. And some individuals did acknowledge the deal. It is what it is. What can you do? What can you do? So, right now I'm actually drinking Linen Kufugels. Linen and Kufugels. I'm a bartender and I can't say the name of this beer. And we actually carry this brand at my bar. The name is going to be listed down below just so you can see what it is. This one's a watermelon shandy. Again, the shandy is a beer that has fruit that is fermented within it to help bolster the taste. Sits a little bit heavier. As I'm looking at this one, I can see that this one is much heavier. And hold on, let me pull up what I had written down for this. This one, the way that they describe it, a Weiss or Weiss, which is wheat beer brewed with honey and natural watermelon and other flavor is what it says on the bottle. I put the little S with it. So other flavors. Going into this, I anticipated a little bit of a lighter Hefeweizen with a finish of watermelon for the flavoring. It was much different than the pineapple shandy that I had yesterday. This one, it's a little bit more of a lemony wheat beer, which is really awesome because I'm a big fan of Boulevard wheat beer, and Boulevard wheat beer goes excellent with lemon. So this one is a lemony wheat beer. You can taste a little bit of the spices with this one, and it has a high spike of watermelon. Try imagining, if you would, a watermelon candy, but it's not sweet. Instead it's a little bit more sour. It's not bad. I probably wouldn't be buying this on a regular basis. If somebody offered it to me, I probably would drink it, but I definitely probably will not go out of my way the next time to try this. I have it right now because my Kroger, my local Kroger, they do a put your own 6-pack together. So what I did is I grabbed a bunch of shandies and I decided I would just try them all out, see which one I like. Especially with the summertime coming through, shandies are excellent, especially if you want to try something new. Shandies are awesome. Oh, good way to go. It does have a little bit of a more robust wheat finish. So, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. A little bit different than what I thought it would be, but it's not bad. So, the next part of what I kind of wanted to talk about, and I mulled over maybe doing a write-up about this, but then I was like, well, maybe I should do a video, but then I was like, maybe I should write about this. And I mulled it over and I mulled it over. I even got in a party with, if you're familiar, and I'll put their YouTubes below. Got in a party, again, with my partner over here at Playback Gaming and one of the leads for the Iron Lords, Lord Cognito. Sorry if you hear, I think that they're doing lawn maintenance outside. Plus the dogs are walking around, so they hear that stuff going on. But my boy, Lord Cognito, he was part of the party. I actually went in there to go speak with my buddy Room, or AKA Lord Addict, and Kid Smooth. And we all were just talking a little bit about the state of Xbox, because I was having a hard time trying to really put out what I was feeling as far as Xbox is going. Now, again, I've been playing Xbox since the original Xbox. It actually wasn't a purchase for me. I was big into PlayStation 2. I had 4 PlayStation 2s. 4 of them. 2 of them actually were given to me by Sony because of fuck-ups that happened with the PlayStation. The original PlayStation 2 that I had. And they were really good back in the day. But I digress. This isn't about PlayStation. This is about Microsoft and Xbox. I had my stepdad at the time, my stepfather, he received an Xbox from my mother for Christmas. he really didn't care for it. There were, he's a bit of a gamer, but he's not a big industry, know it all or anything like that. He likes to game. That's pretty much the extent of it. Like, I mean, he's way back into EverQuest and the old school MMOs and stuff like that. RPGs are his thing. And back in the day, there were a lot of them that were on the Xbox, and they worked out well. This is also when Western RPGs really started to take off. You're looking at Elder Scrolls, which is one of my favorite series, hands down. Just the lore in it, and typically they're gorgeous environments, and of course Bethesda always makes buggy games, but it is what it is. BioWare's starting to come out. They start off with Knights of the Old Republic, and even though it is Asian cultured, Jade Empire, it's still technically a Western style RPG. So on and so forth. So I've been playing since way back in this day. One of the games that actually got me into staying with Xbox was Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. This is before Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare. This was my game. And at the time, I had cancer, and I was actually going through chemo treatments. This was the first time that I was actually able to interact with other individuals in this kind of scale. I did have SOCOM on my PlayStation, but if you ever played the first SOCOM, it was awful online. Everybody was cheating. The headset rarely worked. I did play Elder Scrolls Online, or not Elder Scrolls Online, I'm so sorry. EverQuest Online Adventures on the PlayStation, but of course that was keyboard tied. It wasn't a voice over IP. So Battlefield 2 got me into really staying on to the Xbox. Probably if it wasn't for Battlefield 2, I would have never had a 360 because 360 comes out at this time and it's on both of them. And originally I had it on the original Xbox, and I was like, oh, well, there's this one, and they come with the headsets. And, so I just went ahead. It was like a natural progression. I actually ended up giving that 360 to my stepdad. I took a couple years off of gaming. I became a college student, and I was infatuated with going out and getting drunk and, being a young adult. I digress. Eventually I make my way back because of Call of Duty 4 and Halo 3. Guitar Hero, transcending into Rock Band, so on and so forth. This is my track of how I stayed with Xbox. And, I have a lot of friends that, they have a very similar track, and, we just stuck to this route. I think on my current account, I'm about 9 years on Xbox Live. I love my Xbox. I love the UI. I hope to continue to game here. I say hope because I've been very high in anticipating the Scorpio of whenever it releases. I've already made plans that, yes, I'm going to buy it day one. I bought the Xbox One day one. I think I was 13th in line at my local GameStop in order to pick mine up, and I was stoked for it. I even looked at the Switch. I was like, maybe I'll pick up this. And my girlfriend was like, no, you're not going to pick it up and play it. It's probably going to collect dust just like the Wii U did, like the Wii did. It's probably the reason why I haven't even picked up a PlayStation 4 to this point, is because I'll probably be on my Xbox. I'm more of a social gamer than I am anything else. Even if I'm playing a solo game, I'm probably in a party just chit-chatting with somebody. Very rarely am I not in a party. Of course, lately I've been appearing offline. I've been really big into Ark. A very social experience. I love the game. It's not for everybody. It's definitely for the hardcore gamer. I digress. Marketing deals. I've seen this pop up quite a bit. I've seen a couple of other websites talk about it. A couple of colleagues talk about it. I've had conversations with individuals. My good friend over at Tick, Kal-El, we've had this conversation before. We actually we play Ark together, and Right now, we're both on our arc break. We plan on going back, but we're on our arc break right now. And shout out to Kal-El. As we both know, Neff ain't shit. But we've even had this conversation, and maybe I'm a little bit more harsh towards Microsoft about it than most others are. And it's not because I want to hate on Microsoft. I want to see Microsoft do well. And I'm not going to pretend to be the most knowledgeable individual as far as like all of these instances that have been recently popping up of the reason why. But the fact of the matter is they just happen. And for better or worse, they happen, and it just doesn't look good. We're looking at Xbox has recently had several IPs that were canceled. Since Fable Legends, most recently being Scalebound. While it was released, you did have Project Spark. It was released and then it was canceled as a gaming service. For whatever reason, probably a low population. But I also noticed things such as Microsoft does very well about getting you excited for a game, and then just completely they're silent about it. And by that I mean you really have to dig deep. Actually, you don't have to dig too deep to go find something about like Sea of Thieves. They've been tooting Sea of Thieves around for a couple of years. On occasion, they do mention it, but you really don't, from Microsoft, get the brunt of what is going on with Sea of Thieves. They just talk about, hey, we have Sea of Thieves coming out, and it looks like it's progressing very well. I would talk about it, but I can't. But you can go to Rare, and you can find more out about what's going on. And, maybe that's the way it should be, but I feel like as a publisher, and especially as the owner of the IP, they should be wanting to have that incentive to go talk more about it. And it just doesn't seem to be that is the case here. So that's just Sea of Thieves. We Happy Few. This was another one that 2 years ago they brought it up. Then last year they put it in the preview program, and it looked fucking awesome. A lot of people were excited for it. And unless you go to the developer's website or one of their social medias, you really don't hear too much from Microsoft as far as what's going on with We Happy Few. To me, it's a little disturbing because it's not that Microsoft doesn't have things coming out, but if they're not talking about it, people aren't constantly being reminded about it, and maybe it feels like that they should be constantly reminded or whatever, because it plays kind of like into a psychological thing where this is where you get the fanboys and they're like, well, there's no games to play on Xbox. It's like, it's not that they're not there. It's, we really don't have much to talk about, except for sit here and twiddle our thumbs or, go do a little bit of the research yourself. Then you see the marketing deals. Here's the problem with the marketing deals. I see a lot of people, they say marketing deals, they really don't matter. I have to disagree. I think marketing deals do matter. They might not matter for the individual who has already determined what they are purchasing, what they're going to be playing on, what games they're already excited about. Like if you've already decided that you're going to be playing Destiny 2, it's made up. You don't need the marketing to already determine that you're going to go play it. However, for someone, hold on, I need to take a swig. Sorry, I needed that. For mom and pa who might not be as into gaming, and they say, hey, we're going to buy little Timmy, a Christmas gift this year. At the end of each of these commercials pops up PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo for whatever matter. That leads mom and pop, who are ignorant to how marketing does affect somebody, to believe that, okay, well, I can only play Call of Duty on the PlayStation. So if little Timmy has been talking about wanting to play Call of Duty, so they have to go purchase it on the PlayStation, meaning that they have to do that. They do make an impact because, unfortunately for the hardcore gamers, casuals run the market. And if you have more individuals who are being told that, okay, well, all of these games, Call of Duty, Destiny 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, presumably Star Wars Battlefront 2, that could go either way. They're all being tutored by PlayStation. Obviously, there's more incentive for somebody to go get a PlayStation, especially if you're not too familiar with, you can get it on both. Then you have, on Microsoft's end, it's not that Microsoft doesn't have the deals. I mean, every year they have Madden and FIFA. But the thing about Madden and FIFA and some of these sports titles is the fact that these sports titles are going to get their sales because it is such a niche market for a sports title, especially for a game like Madden, because only EA has it. So nobody's making these deals that have like their football game out there. I think there's like Blood Brawl 2 or something like that. It's a football-esque style game, but you don't see, another NFL title out there. Okay, so such a niche title. So if you want to go play, a football game, you can only go pick it up on Madden right now. I mean, it's been ruling the market for several years. So this is something that's pretty much just going to sell itself. You're going to see these commercials on ESPN. Madden, it could say either one, or it could just straight up be Madden. Madden is going to make its sales. You add the Xbox with it, maybe a little bit more incentive to play it or purchase it there on the Xbox. Sorry, there's sound coming from behind me. Looks like somebody's opening the front door. I think the family's home. And then the door got shut again. Anyways, so it's not that Microsoft is without these marketing deals, but it almost feels as if Microsoft isn't fighting to have these deals. And I get that recently, I don't know how to put it. I know recently Phil had talked about he's not sure why people really care about the deals. And really, I don't know why I care about the deals, but in a way I do care about the deals because it shows to me brands want to stay in the fight. And I don't think that Microsoft is trying to throw in the towel. I don't think that they want to throw in the towel, but that's how it feels. That's how it's kind of perceived, at least by me. I could be in the wrong. You could tell me I'm wrong and hit me with the thumbs down and slander me across the social medias, but it's just kind of how it feels. But on the up and up, Phil does do what Phil does best. Recently he went to Japan, talked with a couple of publishers, developers, whatever it is out there. He took to Twitter, said it was a good meeting. It was something that, helped him out. Maybe an eye-opening experience. I don't know. But it's not like that we are without games from Japan that are coming in. I know that that's a little bit off subject of what I'm talking about as far as marketing deals go. But, I think that it was brought up on Twitter how many people are going to be supporting. I think it's called Valkyrie Rising or Valkyrie something. It's a Japanese-esque style game from Sega. It's a very anime-like experience. I'm not sure if it's a JRPG. I don't know if it's like a RPG as far as the RPG classic JRPG sense. It's a lot of RPGs. I need to have another swig of this shandy. The more I drink this one, it's not bad. Only 4.2% alcohol in the volume. Whatevs. So we're looking at the marketing deals. The way that it looks like for this year, the way that I would probably project it. Well, obviously, we know Call of Duty, Destiny 2, Red Dead Redemption 2 are all going to be marketed by Sony. And those are big games. Those are really big games. Whereas on the other side, we just had Mass Effect Andromeda was marketed by Microsoft. But The only one that I can anticipate coming out is the typical FIFA and Madden marketing deals. I don't know what else they have on the slate. If somebody, like, down in the comment section, let me know what other deals do you know that are popping out for Microsoft, or even for Sony, for these big games. Obviously the small games are going to have their due, but we're talking about these big titles that are releasing. Hell, my favorite title, Ark, for the longest time it was tooted around as if it was like an Xbox game, and I know that there was a lot of people were saying, like, oh well, you can only play it on the console for Xbox. They had always anticipated coming to PlayStation, but PlayStation at the time, and still to this day that I'm aware of, does not have a preview program, so they had to do a little bit of a workaround to see how they can get Ark onto PlayStation. And it's really funny whenever you look at some of these divided communities. You see on the social media, you obviously have there's a rift between a lot of gamers that are so far into their left and right way thinking, kind of like how political systems are set up, if you think about it, that there is nothing that one side could say that the other side is gonna be like, okay, well, point taken. And even recently, it does seem like that they attack the middleman, which would be the neutral gamers. In the art community, it's not like that. I've noticed. You have the occasional dickhead, but I mean, the way that Ark is, there's a lot of dickheads, and it's not that they're dickheads because of the platform. They're just dickheads to be dickheads. Hell, sometimes you get bored and you just want to go take a club and you go find the first innocent victim you can find. I'll be a dickhead for it. I digress. And I've noticed in that community, there's not a very big rift between PlayStation and Xbox Ark survivors, because typically across the board, everything is the same. I think PlayStation right now, they have a Manticore set, which is pretty much, it's a skin that you put on your armor. It's not actual armor pieces. I could be wrong. If you're playing Ark on PlayStation, let me know if I'm wrong. But as far as I know, they're just skins. It's only on the PlayStation until the game releases, and then it'll be across all. And then PC and Xbox will be able to have those. But, aside from that, there's not a lot of difference as far as like the mindset and the want to be better survivors amongst each other. Hell, some of my favorite Twitter handles for Ark are actually PlayStation dedicated Ark Twitter handles, whereas they follow me, I follow them, and when questions arise, it's not about, oh well, on Xbox we do this. It's just, oh well, this is how you do that. And it's kind of weird that you don't see that happening a little bit more often. I know that there's a lot of neutral gamers that they try to fill that rift, but I don't know, maybe it's just a community thing. I don't know. I've been ranting, and I don't know if even half of the stuff that I have said even makes any sort of sense. I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap it up and finish up this shandy. Actually, I'd definitely wrap it up and finish this shandy. Thank you for making it this far. If you did, I do apologize. I probably bored you to death, or maybe incited a little bit of rage and anger. But thank you for sticking in there, and I'm going to try to do a few more of these. I'm kind of biting off the plate of my homeboy Kal-El. He does a lot of these. He's a lot more interesting to listen to than I am, and he doesn't pause as frequently as I do. So I'm actually going to leave his YouTube, or actually the Tick YouTube, down in my description and everything. So, but again, thank you. Please hit me up with a share, maybe a like. I'd love if you guys would subscribe. Don't feel obligated to. Follow me on Twitter. If anything, follow me on Twitter. I'd love to have more Twitter follows there. But thank you. And until next time.